Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your closing bell for Thursday, June 30th, 2022, the last day of June. Yes, July 1st. Tomorrow, a long weekend ahead, 4th of July, celebrate the birthday of the US of A. And, between last night and now today, walk-off central. I'm going to discuss this with Riley instead of going into a rant. The ECSI VIPs know we took the day off, and I spoke about two games last night specifically. And a couple of the clients reached out, and I broke through the board, and I said there was really two games on the desk that we really, really liked. And miraculously, they both walked off and won. And I know for the last 6 weeks, I can count on two fingers how many times I had a walk-off go in our favor. And yet we don't release them via text and email. And I saw Riley's timeline, and they were getting ready to play taps, and instead the other teams were saps. And Riley runs to the window on both of them. So, and I just witnessed a Twinkies team that was up 3-1 that played circus ball in the eighth, and then miraculously with 2 outs, 2 strikes, a 2-run homer, and here comes I was going to say the Tribe, but the Guardians to the pay window with a 5-3 win there. So anyone that didn't want to pay the tax with Bieber, who was about to get the loss, miraculously, if they played the run line, they get the win. So without further ado, let's bring him in from the Windy City himself, the one and only Mr. Riley Magnussen. Afternoon, Riley.
Afternoon, my friend. Am I coming through to you okay? My headphones are a little wonky over here. I'm just making sure. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay. It seems a little low today, but that's okay. I got you.
All right. Nonetheless, I'm feeling decent myself over here after what you mentioned last night. But then, nothing crazy going on in the world of sports today. I know, as far as news is concerned, absolutely nothing to talk about here over the next 30, 45 minutes. So, as far as the swings that I had last night, and on top of the news today that I've told you, I'm just a junkie for talking about hypotheticals as far as not only the NBA moves that we're news that we're seeing, but the Big Ten getting the teams that they're getting. So I'm glowing with sports excitement coming on the show today, Jeff. And I was staring down an 0-4 day, so I don't know who I have to thank for this as far as avoiding an 0-4 day and somehow getting a crazy sweaty 2-2 break-even day when it shouldn't have been as sweaty as it was. Quantrill, looked fantastic for I think it was into the 6th inning. Maybe it was the 5th inning. I honestly can't remember if it was 5th or 6th inning. But third time through the lineup, he's looking great. 2 outs, nobody on, and then double. Home run, and now we're tie ball game 3-3 for Cleveland and Minnesota yesterday. And in my heart, I was okay. This one's toast. This one's gonna go into extras like it did. The Twins put up 3 in the top of the 10th, and we're toasting this one. And then Josh Naylor, all that man does is hit walk-off home runs. I still have nightmares for what he did to on the South Side here in my city a couple months ago or a few weeks ago, whatever it was. So that's a madman over there. But my man Avi Garcia, former White Sox, helping me out in with the Miami and St. Louis win last night as well. So, and Alcantara going a 9 innings, giving up whatever it was, 2 earned runs. Don't see that too often anymore. This isn't 20 years ago when that was pretty custom in the MLB. So, hey, I'll take my wins where I can get them. I had two pretty giant whiffs, so to get some crazy excitement for a break-even day, I guess I'll take it. And didn't have any action on the first one, but another walk-off. You've talked about this Guardians team now looking like a team that's not going away in the AL Central, and they're pesky, man. They are a thorn in everybody's side, and it's reasons like these. So I hope they can cool down, and they're cooling down the Twins. So I at least like to see that as a White Sox fan. But them getting rolling along is always a scary sight for me. So as always, happy to be here, my friend. Best of luck wherever we go as far as the rest of the slate today.
Before we jump into the Pac-12, I was actually. I was out of the office and I turned on Matt and Dave's show, as I'm getting some cardio in, and the breaking news about the Pac-12. But I want to backtrack because I don't know the full story. I'm hoping to get it from you, where the Nets were 800 to win it all last night, and now are 5,000. And then I see a story that KD wants to go to Phoenix now. I mean, the rich get richer. I mean, another year with Chris Paul, but I mean, putting him with Booker and a healthy Aiden is scary, scary news there. So why don't you fill me in and everyone else? What the hell's going on in Brooklyn?
Yeah, it's interesting. I have to eat my words. After Kyrie opted back in, I thought, all was going to be settled in and they were going to, settle in for at least another year in Brooklyn. I have to eat my words and say yesterday we had the breaking news of Jonte Murray, and I said that was going to be the biggest fireworks we're going to see all offseason. So I got to eat those words first and foremost. But I think it's going to be interesting. It's not a situation where a normal situation with a superstar requesting a trade where he's only got a year and a half, or even a half a year, where a team is going to be reluctant to give up a king's ransom to only have him for a year or so, and maybe you only have one or two shots at a title. He extended him, or he signed an extension less than a year ago for 4 years. So wherever he's going, obviously he's Kevin Durant, and maybe if it doesn't go well for a year, he does it again and requests out again. But on paper, you've got him. If you're trading him, you've got him for multiple years. So the way I see, I mean, he's listed that you said Phoenix, and he from at least sources are saying he listed Miami as another team, and then some other teams are kind of leaking as maybe soft interest, but. I'd be interested to see if the Nets are really going to give him the total freedom like you typically see in these situations. They don't really have to for on most in compared to other cases where a guy that's been there for 8 years and he's beloved by the franchise, and now you're just shipping him out. Typically a guy like that gets to get some say in wherever he goes. But Kevin Durant's only been there for 3 years. Didn't play it all the first year. Has only won one playoff series. What does this team really owe to this man? So I would not be. So kind of what I'm saying is I don't know that I expect a smaller market team to emerge out of this. But if some random small market team had a shitload of assets, excuse my language, and wanted to get in the mix just for the hell of it, why would the Nets say no to that? Despite what Kevin Durant says, he's a junkie for basketball. He's not going to threaten retirement with 3 years left on his deal. So I don't think he has a ton of leverage from that standpoint to go exactly wherever he wants. And so, if we're talking bidding wars, I don't know what these teams have to offer. It might take a DeAndre Ayton for the Suns to entice the Nets. He's obviously restricted free agent right now, but I don't know what what a lot of these teams have to offer if we're talking a bidding war. And if you're the Nets giving up a guy that's got 3 years of his stature, you're going to want some type of ransom. And, maybe that's just an absurd amount of picks, and maybe that's enough. But, I think it's going to be interesting because who's to stop, if one of these small market teams has 3 stud 22-year-olds and 2 future first-rounders, like Indiana or something. Let's say they're, we like what we're building here, but, it's Indiana. We don't like our chances of actually building a contender. Let's trade Halliburton, Duarte, Ben Mathurin, and 2 picks. Can the Heat or Suns match that type of offer? I don't think so. And so I'm not saying that's happening. I think the Pacers are probably happy with what they're doing, but I think you understand what I'm saying, where one of these small market teams could, if they were, bored and didn't like their true chances of building a contender, the hilarious one would be the Oklahoma City Thunder have as many assets as anybody in the damn league, and that would be hilarious for what he's done over the last decade. I'm a fan of watching him play, but as far as these moves, it's getting ridiculous. If he had to go back to Oklahoma City, I mean, how many picks do they have? They've got 4 or 5 guys, beyond what I mentioned with Indiana. They've got 4 or 5 guys that are, under 24, 25 that are potential studs. So, again, not saying that's happening, but that would be absolutely hilarious if that was the case. But basically what I'm saying is I don't know that he has the type of leverage to pick and choose exactly where he goes because the Nets are going to be demanding a pretty big ransom when you're talking about a 3-year deal as compared to what we normally have with the type of rental situation that we usually see in these situations here.
Well, it was funny. We had Brady Tinker on this morning, and he did go to Texas. And the fact is, that Brady, the end of the conversation says the Brunson to New York deal wasn't official, they could actually piggyback and give him 5 for 125, and Brunson could say, "Hey, well, I was just sorry being a you know what, but I wanted to stay here. Thanks for ponying up finally." But
Right.
if Brunson does leave, maybe does he go back to Dallas? I don't see the Nets wanting to trade him in the East to Miami. I'd love to see him with
Right.
Butler in that team. I mean, I think that'd be fabulous. But sending him out west where you don't have to see him until the
Yeah.
finals, I think is a way to go. And when you see odds like from 800 to 5,000, obviously KD finally came to management and said, "Guys, listen, I'm not playing with Kyrie. I mean, we've
Yeah.
had enough. I don't want it. So move me." He opted back in. I'm out. So
Yeah.
I think it would just be the blow up where, hey, maybe they get what they can from, say, a Phoenix. They make him happy, and then they just call the Lake Brook. You take Kyrie, just get him out of our hair, and then
Yeah.
they just blow this whole team up.
Yeah, I think that's probably the likely move. I think exactly what you said. That would be what I predict. The NBA is not quite as stubborn as say the NFL or MLB as far as teams trading them within the conference. If they get a no doubt offer they can't refuse, I think they'd be willing to move off of them. But I don't think that's going to come necessarily out of the East. So I think I'm with you. The Suns. You mentioned the Nets odds moving as drastically as they did. I think the Suns are now the favorite right now in the entire NBA to win the championship. If you have a book that has them open, some books don't even have it open right now, obviously. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think, yeah, like you said, I think they're probably going to be more willing to just dump Kyrie wherever they can with the money that he's got for the 1 year, obviously, and that's obviously a potential rental situation, right? As compared to KD. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting if the Suns. I told you, yeah, you're right. It's probably going to be the West, but my Bulls fandom kicks in on the 2% chance that maybe we've got a package to get into a bidding war or something like that. But it's going to be interesting, man. There's a lot of teams that have a lot of assets, and these trades, teams have gotten a lot smarter as far as not accepting a 4 or 5 player deal just because there's 4, 5, 6 assets. A lot of these teams actually want some type of tangible return as far as a young talent that they can build around or some legitimate draft capital. So it's not going to be some pushover offer for Kevin Durant. It's going to be pretty massive. So going to be interesting to see. Whoever takes him probably is going to be pretty slim on draft picks for the next decade or so. So. Yeah, I'm interested to see when it heats up here. Typically, I was saying it yesterday. I don't think it's going to happen, but it typically happens around 4th of July weekend. So, yeah, by 4th of July, maybe we'll have an idea of where he's heading for sure.
Pac 12, UCLA, USC to the Big Ten. And I was on a conversation before the show with a good friend of ours from the UCLA area and listening to first Matt and Dave. And it was kind of comical. The closest Big Ten game is Nebraska, and that's a
Yeah,
3 hour flight. And then they talked about the fact that anytime one of those West Coast teams travels to a Penn State or Wisconsin, you're going to play that game at high noon because they'll be playing at 9 a.m. in their mind because of the
right.
3 hour difference. All about the big dollars. Matt talked about perfect spot for UNLV now to move into the Pac 12 because they already play the Pac 12 championship at T Mobile in Vegas.
Right.
Number two, they played the Pac 12 football championship at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. It makes a lot of sense there. I added, with all these moves, would the Pac 12 then put a gun to Notre Dame's head and say, "Hey, guys, listen, everyone's moving here. You'll be the marquee team." They only have Oregon. How much money does Nike have? I mean, you take UCLA and USC. In my mind, there's no Pac 12.
No, no, not really. And I honestly think we're going to see a couple. We might see Oregon and a couple other teams maybe jumping ship also. And the Pac-12 is just for them either toast or a mid-major conference now. I think kind of what you said as far as the two West Coast teams moving. I think in general, Big Ten and SEC. 15 years ago when this kind of was all projected, it was that there's going to be two or three 16-team super conferences, and obviously we're at that point. I think it's going to go to 18, 20 as far as the Big Ten and SEC are concerned. So I think another one of these West Coast teams, whether that's Oregon or Washington, are could also be enticed to the Big Ten as well. And you mentioned Notre Dame, whether that's them picking and choosing or staying independent. I think they'll probably win. The Big Ten has obviously always been a long-standing conversation for Notre Dame. So whether that is them joining or obviously the Pac-12, they added four. What was it? Houston, Cincy, BYU, and UCF. Probably about the best available that you could have added, all things considered. But comparatively, that's still a massive loss. So I wouldn't be surprised if teams like Oklahoma State, if we're talking the Pac-12, were to jump ship for either the Big Ten or the SEC. So I think this is far from over. I think at least one of the two, Big 12 or Pac-12, is going to be really hurting sometime soon. I'd be willing to bet probably the Pac-12 is, more likely to, kind of fall to the wayside or, kind of fall to irrelevancy. So, the Washingtons, the Stanfords, the Oregons, obviously Oregon being the most, the highest ranking brand out of that bunch by far with Nike. So, I don't think it's anywhere near being over, and I could see the Big Ten poaching a couple more. I could see as far as regional conference, throw that out the window. That doesn't exist anymore. I mean, it's just imagining a Rutgers and UCLA game is just so bizarre in my head, or Maryland and USC or something like that. As far as that type of travel, I imagine once they get into the conferences, they'll probably they'll most certainly divide them, divisionally by region, and that'll help a lot as far as that type of travel. But I think it's far from over, Jeff. I think one of these West Coast teams also are going to jump ship alongside these two teams, and it's going to be even more of a barren wasteland here for the Pac-12 coming soon.
Well, and then they brought up the fact, Gonzaga trying to get into the Big East in basketball. So what do these kids do? And the more I thought about it, because of the pandemic, because of being able to now to take classes remotely, let's just say they had a weekend trip, where they played, I'm trying to think this out, Creighton on Monday, UConn on Thursday, and then Sunday they ended up at Villanova, where they just took the laptops and they just stayed out east all week, and they took their classes, they played their 3 games, and then they headed back.
Yeah, you're almost an online student at that point, and I'm kind of surprised that it has. I think it has it's definitely already transitioned into that, but if it hasn't already, I think it's definitely going to get to that. So yeah, this regionalism, as far or whatever you want to call it, I think is definitely fallen to the wayside here. And it's interesting. I'm glad you brought up Gonzaga. I hadn't even the last few hours hadn't had a chance to even think about them. But yeah, you think about some of these teams that are kind of in the middle of that area, or teams that have recently joined the Pac-12. Are those big enough markets to jump ship again and go elsewhere, or is the Pac-12 going to be just Colorado, Utah, Washington State, Oregon State, kind of this half power conference and technically power conference, but really no giant brands? That's kind of what it might look like it's heading towards. So I typically love the traditional power conferences as far as it used to be, but at this point, it's either kill or be killed, and the Big Ten is going for the kill and making sure they're getting their stock and getting there, as it was a decade ago or so, trying to get into the New York and East Coast markets, are obviously trying to get into the West Coast and LA markets, and pretty well achieved if you ask me. So I think it could be expanding even further beyond this. I'm going to say the Big Ten and SEC by the end of the decade, it's going to be 20 teams each. That's what I'm going to say.
I agree. Super conferences. That's what it's going to end up being. All right. We got a short slate today. Travel day and bases. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. The headliner, Yankees at Houston. They played. Houston played at New York last weekend, I think it was.
Yep.
You got Severino versus Garcia. Obviously, what stood out to me initially, Yankees minus 130, overnight number. As I just see Coco Gauff moves on, straight set 6-2, 6-3. Nice. Thank you, Don Best. But that's the headliner. You got a full board in front of you. Take it away.
Yeah, another decent one. I'd say probably the maybe the co-main event is Atlanta and Philly in Philly. Ian Anderson and Aaron Nola. Nola's been really really good at the last few starts. Let's see what was the pricing on this one. Phillies and Nola getting quite a bit of respect, about minus 150. Interesting splits from what I saw on FanDuel. You had a full game for Philly about minus 154. The first five at minus 152. On DraftKings, 150 for the full game and minus 180 for the first five. So interesting, differences as far as those two books are concerned. The big, the big public books. But yeah, I don't know. Are you expecting regression from Nola, or is this line Nola or nothing essentially from your eyes in this one?
I just respected an opening number. Obviously, lean Nola minus the hook. Maybe the problem with a Nola full game run line is the back end of the Phillies. Anderson, I think I've been pretty good on knowing when to take Anderson, when not to. This reminds me of the Wheeler a couple days ago. We had Wheeler first five, and the first three batters, two of them hit homers, and it was thanks for playing first five.
Yeah.
For me, unfortunately, it would be Nola first five minus the hook. I try to stay away from that back end. I think the Phillies put up some runs early and often, and I think they do win the game, but I just don't trust their back end.
No, I'm with you. I think, Nola first five, if you're going the Phillies, I think is definitely the only way to go in this one. So, we can move on from that one. Yankees and Houston you mentioned it. Last week they split a 4-game series, but you could definitely argue that the Yankees stole the two in which they won. As far as the series is concerned, maybe, if that factors in today, you can stop right there. But as far as this series is concerned, are the Astros going to be pissed off that they, feel like they should have won that series now that they're at home and going to be, motivated to definitely get this series win? Or, does that not matter? They, the series split, here we go. Yankees get the sweep against the A's. All things are, business as usual. Is that what you're seeing, or are you liking the Yankees in this one?
I'm just my eyes are glued to that opening number. It wasn't a pick. It wasn't Houston minus 105, 110. This is the hardest thing for me to fathom. The Astros are playing great ball. They are 47-27. They're 20 games over 500.
Yeah.
Okay. They're 9 games behind the Yankees.
Right.
I just can't fathom that at the halfway point. I mean, I just can't even fathom it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I guess as far as this case is concerned, maybe I think Garcia's kind of been one of he's got a 3.68 ERA, but he's more of a consistent 2-3 runs a game guy as opposed to a hit or miss guy. So maybe you expect Severino to be fantastic, and this one's a 3-1 game through 5 or 6 innings or something like that. So this one for me is a popcorn game. But any strong stances from you on this one?
I would honestly go slight lean Yankees. I'll go on a prop here, and Alvarez hits a homer. How's that sound?
Okay. I like it. Next one is interesting. Milwaukee and Pittsburgh, Hauser and Brubaker. Milwaukee about minus 130 favorite on the road here. Hauser has not been very good this month. Brubaker hit or miss. From my eyes, it looks like the public is all over the Brewers on the short price. Looks like the handicappers, a lot of guys that I respect, a lot of guys and girls that I respect, cappers all over Pittsburgh in this one. Is this a public trap, or is this a handicappers trap in this one? This one stinks to me as far as at that minus 130 seems way too good to be true to me. I'm on the capper side in this one as far as what I'm seeing so far.
My buddy Mr. DMAC reached out to me, and he said the same exact thing. He goes, Jeff, I was like, yep, it smells. It does smell. Yeah. And every time I fall into the pirate trap.
Yeah.
They crush me. I lean Pittsburgh here, and everyone knows I'm not a total guy, but I think this gets to 9 or better, and you can get it at 8.5. So I guess what I would tell people this: if you want to play Pittsburgh today, here's what I would suggest. I would suggest taking them plus the 109, plus 114 at Westgate, plus 117 at South Point. I would take a look at their team total and go over their team total. I probably can get 3.5. I would suspect there. And I would take a look at the over 8.5. That's the way. And again, this is all beer and pizza money. This is
Yeah.
not, half unit plays. That's just where my head is right now.
No, I love the team total suggestion on that one. This one seems because I pop open the Action app, one of the ones I use. Anytime it's like it'll be 100%, and a lot of people that I respect, like I said, but it's like 6 on Pittsburgh and absolutely nobody on Milwaukee. But it's like I said, the public's all over Milwaukee. Still gives me giant red flags that it's some type of handicapper's trap. So I love what you're saying as far as the total runs on FanDuel. You can go over 4. At minus 106. It wouldn't surprise me. They could beat up Hauser. Like I said, he hasn't been very good, but maybe the Brewers run Brubaker for 10 runs, and we're looking at a 5-10 loss. And so, like you said, if I'm going anywhere, I like the team total run there. Suggestion for the Pirates in that one. Let's see. Next one up, Tampa and Toronto. Bullpen day for Tampa. It looks like Whistler on the mound for Tampa. Kikuchi for the Blue Jays. Kikuchi, 16 earned runs over the last 15 and a third here in June. His ERA is, he has not been good in June at all. But we're staring at a line of about minus 140, 145 for Toronto's favor. Are you definitely thinking Kikuchi bounce back in this spot, or are you just steering clear, waiting until you see him return to form before you back him in any spot here?
He's been hit or miss. He's in with the Berrioses of the world, and actually he's been more miss than hit. A Tampa, which is a bullpen game, which for them is usually every other day, it seems lately.
Yeah.
Not a big Whistler fan. I liked him when he came up with the Braves. He hasn't been able to stay healthy. An under-over that opened at 8.5 last night. The move to Whistler, now it is at 9.5 juice under. I say it this way: Toronto, maybe a little letdown spot. The Sox left. They won 2 out of 3 there. They lost last night. A popcorn game to me. Slight lean with Tampa here. Slight lean Tampa.
I think I'm with you. I mean, they just lost their last 2 at home to Milwaukee, so they're definitely going to be looking for a bounce back in this one. I think I'm with you. I mean, these bullpen days, it's hard to judge sometimes for the Tampa Bay team, but they're obviously a winning baseball team, so they know what they're doing for the most part in these situations. They've got a good idea of when to pull the hook on these pitchers. So I think I'm with you as far as leaning towards them. I think let's see, 3 more left on the plate: Cincinnati and the Cubs. You got Ashcraft and Hendricks in this one. Cubs about minus 130, over under 10.5. Wind blowing out, from what I saw at least, wind blowing out about 14 miles per hour. Both pitchers pitch to a lot of contact. Are you going wind over with this one, or are you just steering far away from this one altogether?
Again, I called we went against Hendricks. I think it was his last start, and of course we saw Cy Hendricks. Ashcraft, good young pitcher, throws hard. I like the price with the Reds. They're just Jekyll and Hyde right now. 26 and 48. Cubs are 29 and 46. I can't back either. Maybe if you want some popcorn, root for the over and the wind blowing out. Again, if you're looking in that direction, I can't stress this enough, guys. Go to the team totals.
Yeah.
Take a look at what Cincinnati's team total is. Take a look at what the Cubs team total is. You instead of making a stance on Cincy plus the can you get Cincy at now? Plus 115. Maybe take a look at their team total. What is it, 4.5 or is it 5?
I think it's about 5, but I can double check for you real quick. But I mean, when these, at least I don't have a hard, data on it. But when these days where we've talked where the wind is double digits blowing out at Wrigley, for the most part, they've been pretty true to putting up some runs. So I'm with you. But you still want to, like you said, I think you're still better off going to, the team total if you like either one of these. Reds at 5, over 5 is at plus 100 money. Plus 100 on FanDuel. The Cubs over 5 at minus 122 there. And under, same splits. Under 5 for the Cubs is at plus 100. Under 5 for the Reds is minus 122 there.
So they're basically telling you Cubs get to 5, and most likely they're trying to tell you initially 5-4 Cubs there. So they're giving you, and that's the 24 guaranteed outs with the Cubs. They're more confident the Cubs get to 5 than the 27 guaranteed outs with the Reds to get to 5.
Right. And I've kind of like you said with Anderson, I've had some good chance swings with Hendricks. I kind of lean towards him rounding into form here soon as far as stringing more of these good starts together as opposed to good, bad is kind of what he's been this season. But, like I said, these guys pitch to contact. So, and with the wind blowing out, I'm certainly not backing, a straight side in this one. So I'm with you as far as going runs in this one. Two more, Oakland and Seattle, Martinez and Gilbert. Martinez making his second career outing. First one was back a month and a half ago in May. May 10th versus Detroit, 5 1/3, 4 hits, no runs allowed. But like I said, that was a month and a half ago. Now he's going up against Logan Gilbert here in Seattle. Anything at all to see out of this one, or is this, keep it moving in this one?
I just think that Gilbert's overpriced here. He came out guns a-blazing. He has kind of slowed down a little. Oakland's offense is putrid. You got a 7.5 juiced under. I'm expecting big things from Gilbert. They priced themselves out of the market. I mean, you can't even go in Seattle minus a hook first 5. It's too pricey. And I mean, if you wanted to get cute, you could try to go Seattle full game minus a 1.5. I mean, what's Oakland going to score here? 2, 3 runs tops. So, I mean, I like the Seattle and Gilbert bounce back side. It's overpriced.
No, 100%. I've got no interest in it. I mean, they're still 36 and 41. I don't know what they are to their run line, but I can't imagine, at least especially when they're favored, I can't imagine it's very solid. So I'm with you on that one. Last one up, San Diego and the Dodgers. Musgrove and White for the Dodgers in this one. Musgrove actually bad. I think he's like 8-1 on the season, but bad outing last time out against Philly. I think it was 6 runs allowed. And White typically only going about 4 or 5 innings. Didn't start the season as a starter. He started in the bullpen. Now he's been starting the last few times out. Dodgers minus 134, despite what I assume a lot of people might be interested in Musgrove here. Is this another kind of 2 straight bad outings for Musgrove, the line telling you, or is this just giving respect to the Dodgers at home here as far as the line's concerned?
I think this is another pros versus Joes where I think you're going to get the public flocking to the Dodgers. I think you're going to get the sharper guys taking the plus 118 on the Padres. You got a Dodger team that, ended the Braves series with a loss. They go to Colorado. They lose 2 out of 3. They're not scoring right now. They did score last night, though. You would expect Musgrove on a bounce back. Record-wise right now, they both at 46 wins. So this is technically for first place, even though the Dodgers have played 3 less games, so they're technically in first. For me, when I actually look at this, the actual value play, though, is the Dodgers. When you're going to get the Dodgers at home at minus 129. So I'll go on record to say I lean Dodgers. I think you're getting a fair price. They're back home in the big beds. I think they take care of business knowing, hey, let's get that 1 game plus lead on the Padres, and let's make a statement tonight.
I like it. I mean, when you look at, there's a few guys in this lineup that hit Musgrove pretty well. Muncy, 7 for 15 lifetime. Freeman, 6 for 15 lifetime. He's pissed off about whatever's going on with the news coming out about his agent. I saw his agent release something today, not to go down that rabbit hole. But nonetheless, you've got a few guys in this lineup that have some success against Musgrove. So I think I'm with you as far as LA's lineup maybe heating up tonight. But unless I missed anything that you wanted to talk about, I believe we've only got 7 games after the one in the chamber gone so far. So that about wraps it up, my friend, for the MLB.
You hit on something because this happens in baseball all the time, and the agents are trying to get the best deal for their player. Now, I see both sides of the story, meaning this. If Atlanta really wanted Freddie, they would have signed him right away, before the lockout, before any of the happy horse
Wouldn't
shit.
have played any funny business at all, no.
Exactly. Freddie, we want you. And Freddie made it known he wanted to retire a Brave. He got his ring. Now he wants his final contract and to fade off into the sunset. Now, I guess I will ask you this question. I saw the tears. He gets the ring. It's an emotional moment. Then the story breaks that he was never told. Are you buying?
I don't know. Because I wouldn't be surprised if the Braves are trying to play, try to play some hand as far as, try to stir up some trouble in paradise over there. I kind of buy it to some degree, though, as far as I don't know. I really don't know. I like you said, I see both sides of it. But at the end of the day, if you're either side and you really want to be, if you're the Braves and you want Freddie Freeman, or if you're Freddie Freeman and you really want to be at the Braves, then it seems like you should be able to make it happen. But it's obviously never that easy. So before we went on the show, his agent released a statement that said, basically call him BS. We never hit anything. We gave him all the offers. So I don't know whether or not I believe with the word of an agent. So and Freddie Freeman's a very liked guy. So if he, because did he actually go ahead and fire him though? Did that actually right? So that kind of leads me to believe that there's some truth to it. If he didn't fire him and they were still working together, then maybe I would maybe call BS. But the fact that he went ahead and fired him, it leads me to believe that maybe there was at least some type of breach of trust as far as the two are concerned. So, I like I said, Freddie Freeman's a fan favorite. And, I think if he's saying something, the masses are going to be on his side for the most part. Whether or not it's true or not is beyond me. But yeah, I'll say maybe it is a little bullshit on the agent's part in this case. I'm drawing a blank on his name though.
Mr. Riley, we can't thank you enough. Mr. Riley's going to well-earned couple days off. He will not be tiptoeing to the dark side to go watch the Cubs and the Red Sox. He'll be enjoying his 4th of July weekend high above courtside on the south side, not the dark side there. Tomorrow, 11 a.m., we'll be debuting Zaid Hussein. I hope I said that right.
Yeah, good dude.
He is going to come on, works for Sports Grid TV. He reached out to us after our show with Dubsy, and he's in Vegas, and he wanted to come on and talk some UFC. So He will be making his debut at 11 a.m. tomorrow. So make sure everyone catches that. At 2:30, our weekly show with Dan Alexander from Wager Talk and Premier Lacrosse, Bet on Lacrosse, the cash consideration show. We'll be getting you up to speed for the weekend in lacrosse. And around 6 o'clock, Scotty will be back for the closing bell. And then on Saturday, myself and Scott will get everyone all set up for the day and night for the closing bell. And if everything breaks perfectly, myself and Riley will be back on Sunday morning to get everyone all set for the weekend there. I'm not sure what we're going to do yet on Monday. It is 4th of July. I know there's a lot of barbecues and beaches and all that. So maybe we will be dark on Monday. I'm not sure yet. Maybe we'll put some stuff up on the timelines. But it's been a busy, it's great week. I can only tell everyone that's watching and listening, there's a lot of big stuff brewing right now with ECSI. A lot of potential big news breaking, potential big radio, TV shows on some big platforms, on some networks that you're very familiar with, some companies knocking on the door. So we hope to be your content creator and provider for the rest of this year and long ways to go. So with that, anyone wagering and investing today, please do it responsibly. If you do have a problem, pick up the phone. There is an 800 number available. Ask for help. Why? Myself and Riley care. We want to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month through 2022 and beyond. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Riley Magnussen at Riley_Magnussen, the one. We wish everyone a blessed evening. Have some fun. Cash a few MLB tickets, and we will see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. for the debut of the UFC show. See you soon.